So you're
Hello.
buying a fruit farm, Tom?
I'm not buying a fruit farm, but I have a little field trip report to share with our listeners about um, a person that I met here in Florida, and she reminds me of a figure, a character in the Book of Acts, Book of 16. Um, Obscure. She only had a few lines in the Bible, but it's always made an impression on me when I first read about Acts 16. Is when Paul was traveling. I don't know, was it Paul? But anyway, there was a woman by the name of Lydia, and she was known to be a dealer of purple cloth in the Greek city of Thyatira, if I pronounce it correctly. And it was these business owners who, I guess, not only just helped the local communities, but paid for the traveling expenses of the apostles.
She
And
says, if you consider me a believer, come stay in my house.
there you go. So
The apostles were probably pretty cool dudes, though. I mean, like you're sitting in your town, not much is going on. All of a sudden, like these supercharged up, kind of, excitable dudes wander in with this like big story about eternal life, and we're all equal, and this is really cool. You got to listen to all this. And I would imagine most people would be like, "Oh yeah, that's an event."
yeah, and
It's like,
again, it provides a window into the kind of world that they were in. It was very cosmopolitan. So it's the idea that um, I, I I don't know if there was a state religion at that time yet.
yeah,
Otherwise, it was just people were usually shopping around for what to believe in. As
yeah, it was it's not that dissimilar from today, right? But probably the best way to think of it would be as the religions were like celebrities. Like I'm an
yeah,
NFL fan. I'm a football guy. I'm a basketball guy. I'm a Kim Kardashian fan. I'm a believer. Like
yeah,
people would sort of just pick these things up like sort of, stuff they would latch onto for a while and then trade it in for something else when they got bored.
yeah. But so the characters like Theater Lydia isn't just the only character that's mentioned in Acts. There are a couple of people like her too, people in positions of power. Um, uh, they have money, they have influence, and these were the people who were instrumental in setting up these. I guess what is the equivalent of their what we call nodes today for the apostles to really travel from one town to the other. So
So is Lydia going to hire you, Tom?
well, we're going to talk about the modern day Lydia that I met. And actually, I'm just thinking maybe I should not be too, because she's still running a business. So you never know. I think the deal was that her place is a little bit, she's kind of keeping it on the down low. So I don't think anyone will be watching this video be like, it's
Yeah, but
that farm. Let's go there and
like
protest. Yeah.
or even if you did, it's Central Florida. I mean, like you're not getting far. I mean, there's going to be 20 guys with guns and pickup trucks come out and like say, "Hi, can we help you?"
But anyway, so we were,
Or the
anyway,
welcoming committee.
well, how we came to meet her was we were shopping for a second property here out in down here in Sarasota, actually more in the Bradenton area, and we decided to take an excursion to round off the day by taking an excursion to this. It's a local landmark. It's called I'll just say the Mixon Citrus Farm, and they grow oranges. Tropicana is the next block for them. Tropicana, the one that produces oranges, so I guess they're one of those suppliers. So it's a farm that produces all manner of citruses. They also have, because it's the South, they have hay rides, and they have an emu and a crocodile that they rehab, and a tram that they bring the kids to go and uh, there's a petting zoo. So it's very Americana. It's this, wholesome Americana. And so my partner and I went there, and we went in, and we just looking around, and this woman that comes up to us. I described to you that she kind of reminds me of a, that TV series from the 80s, The Dynasty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joan Collins.
Joan Collins. She has, if you look at her, she has jewelry hidden, but she's not flashy. But I like that kind of elegance. It's understated, but it's there. If you just look carefully under that plain shirt, there is a very expensive piece of jewelry. She comes up to us and very charming and started chatting us up. And of course, I didn't know who she was. Like, what was this random person talking to us?
She probably wanted to know, like, who's visiting her orange grove.
Yeah, I guess. She's just very, very welcoming and very inquisitive, curious, and as with everything, when you're in Florida, they will always get a point when they will ask where you are from. Now, this is where people like my partner and I would have second thoughts about announcing that we're from New York because of the political climate. Because if you say you're from New York, they would assume that you're
a communist.
You're a communist, and you're a communist. So we hesitated. We didn't know what to say, and she said, I mean, in hindsight, she told me, I've asked her later, like, how did you know we're not communists? She said that I made some off the cuff remark about the government in New York and how it's, I said something, I don't remember saying it, but she said she picked it up right away. And then, so she reciprocated by dropping some words to test us to see if we are legit. So she posed the question of, what do you think of our governor? That was the litmus test for her, and we were like, doing a great job. Ron DeSantis is doing a great job, and she's like, and she just poured forth her Holy Spirit. She says, "Well, I can't do her accent, but it says I got a Patriots group here, the largest in Manatee County, and we meet every Tuesday to talk about the Constitution and founding principles." God and country and all that. And we meet back there in the back of my warehouse, and you are welcome. And so we went. We follow up with her invite. We went on Tuesday, and boy, was it truly? It was a sight. It was. I don't want to say it was like a mini version of Jan 6, but
it was a rally.
Yeah. But the thing I want to tell you that I was really struck about this group is that unlike most group I've been to, they're very well organized. They start with a meeting, and they have a bunch of couple of projects that they're working on that has nothing to do with getting people elected. It was more like introducing legislation into their local government to help with housing, to help address certain social issues. So it was like, it's very hands-on and very practical. It was nothing to do about who we're going to get elected. It was because they figured out if you take care of these problems first, people don't have to be fighting over parties. That's their ticket. So Manatee County is, unlike Sarasota County, solidly red. Solidly. There's no chance of a communist going in there. It's just because I think the people there know that the Republicans that are in charge are there to help them and not to help the party, if that makes sense, because of this kind of activity and involvement going on. So it's very concrete, and that's what I liked about it. They spent the first half hour talking about affordability, and it sounds like something of the Bernie Bro platform, but they were talking about how do we ensure that the speculators don't come into our county and start building condos that would, price out veterans and the lower income family,
multiracial working class populism.
Yeah, well, there you go. And then,
well, she needs places for workers to live, right? You can't run a farm
Yeah.
if you're
Well, I mean,
surrounded
if
by
you
$1 million condos,
if you don't want to be, yeah, I think
I don't mean to be like obvious, but like, she wants a world where everybody can raise family and show up to work in the morning, right? She doesn't want a
yeah,
bunch of tourists that and summer, winter people, and then everybody's driving an hour and a half and grumpy and late, and they just can't, there's a whole community of people just gets destroyed around her business, and then she doesn't have a business anymore because she's got to import, kind of laborers from Guatemala and put them in shacks. So that's got to suck.
yeah.
Like I wouldn't
So
a bunch of condos either if I were running a business.
so there is this very keen sense that they are the government, which is an interesting take, because anywhere else, political action is like we are fighting the government. But here they understood, because they bill themselves as really strictly constitutionalist founding father principles, that they are the government and anyone else in office reports to them. So I really like that they were very clear-headed about that. So again, it was interesting to see that they're pretty read up on how to write legislation. So it begins with them. It doesn't. They're not waiting for a white knight. No, they're not waiting for a candidate to come to figure things out for them. They figure it out, and then the candidate will come to do what they want. And I feel like that's how it should work. And I don't see that.
Well, because most of them are taxpayers, right? They're net contributors, so that they see themselves as customers.
Exactly.
Whereas if you're a net recipient of government services, you're kind of you're not really in a position to be demanding.
So now, what is it got to do with Lady of the Lydia of Thyatira? She just reminds me of her. I just imagine that's what it was like back in the early church.
Is there a blockchain angle here, or is
there is absolutely a blockchain angle here.
Talk about the blockchain angle.
The blockchain, yes, the blockchain angle is it's a peer-to-peer thing. I feel like she didn't.
A blockchain grove.
Yeah, I'm not surprised if she lends money to people too. Like she just looks like the kind of person who would lend money without interest. They're very. And she would probably lend the money, like you said, like what we want to do in Dark, of lend to people who meet certain criteria, not lend people money to go get a breast implant or
right,
something like that.
No, it's just like probably like stuffing $50 bills into people's pockets to help them out. Go buy yourself something special, dear.
The night that we went, they had a speaker. She's a guest speaker. She's a special prosecutor from Tallahassee, and very well read in the Constitution. And she sounds like me when I was going on about, but much smarter. Because she's a lawyer. She just
no one's smarter than you, Tom.
Well, no one's smarter than you. But the slide. She finished her slide that evening talk by talking about that there needs to be. She didn't have the solution, but she says that for people to be free, we need to have a parallel economy. And I was like, I have something to say. I have something to say. Maybe you need to like read up on Dark or on what we want to do. But I'm just saying that I think there is already, if and when we get this thing finished, people will find it very intuitive.
Yeah, I agree.
They would understand what it's about.
It's better to have something real than something fake, right? That's what it boils down to. Is if I can trade in houses and cars and cows and goats, that's more real than zeros and ones, or kind of government fiat.
Right, because government fiat. Well, what was the tagline that I proposed? That it's the currency of faith, hope, and love. Dark world. which is what this group was about in Manatee County. You can see when
Yeah.
they're talking about the parallel economy, it means a system of accountability to each other.
So I have a crazy idea. A little crazy.
In addition to, yeah.
No, yeah. What if you asked her if we could present our thing to her group just as not to go harass them for anything, just as an informational thing, as a way to see, just to take a bunch of completely random people in the middle of a place that but I certainly don't, and then say, hey, here's this idea we have. What do you think? And then just kind of just to hear the feedback and the way people would sort of interact with it, right? Would they go like just scrunch their face up and go like, huh?
No, I that's a great idea. I could totally see you and I being in front of that room, giving a slide talk to do some focus group kind of thing to see what.
Trying to figure out the right language to use to resonate with people that makes them go, I want to do that, as opposed to, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, dude,
maybe that's cool.
Totally
let me know if
that.
it works.
Yes. The only one slide I think you might want to change, because I remember that slide that you gave. So David gave a slide about it's not called Dark World, but it's based on the same idea. Sorry, what was the name of your? You gave a talk about Graceland.
Yeah, my
thing, but there you had a slide called Libertarian Socialism, and I don't think that would. Yeah, you need to maybe change that up a little.
I'm kind of more at Christian anarchy right now, not libertarians. I think I was trying to come up. You know what? It was really before I ever heard the expression post-liberal.
Yeah.
I was trying to sort of say post-liberal, or sort of something that exists outside the liberal paradigm, but I just didn't have the language to express it. So the best I could come up with was that sort of libertarian socialism, which doesn't make any sense because they're sort of opposite, right? I mean, it's like saying Christian communism or something. It just doesn't, or free market Marxism. Or like it's just a stupid.
Yeah, I think, well,
like ringing it. It's like blowing a horn in like, doesn't make any sense. Dan Larimer I listened to him talking. I think I sent you the thing, but he was talking about the Tao, right?
Yes. What's your take on the Mandel?
I just think they're cleaning up kind of just messes that should have been cleaned up 2 years ago. It just feels like very much like they're just like, okay, let's tidy up some functional stuff that, for scalability, just, the nuts and bolts of development that is important, but not that interesting to most people, right? It's like you just expect the thing to work, right?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
When you build the plug, like what's that God, what are they called? The power strips, right? So you want to plug like lots of things into your power strip, and you don't want the fuse to blow if you plug in too many things, right? You just have to build it in such a way that it can handle plugging all the plugs in. And I think that's the kind of stuff they're just working on right now.
I just want to get back to building the front end, the back end, and I'm still spinning my wheels a little. So, but we'll get there eventually. Then that's where, Dan Larimer wants to make a difference. He should just focus. I'm going to keep repeating myself: adoption and usability.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like Telos is the fork from Telos is doing that a better job. So men telling me that you're gonna be partnering with Mandel and you're gonna have EOS.io 2.0 and you got new features, that's not interesting to me. I just like, can you take care of EOS.io 1.0 first?
Right.
I mean, Fractal. I know about fractals. So what?
Yeah, I know I think the other thing they're trying to do is kind of settle everybody down. Like everybody's, anybody that's still around is super butthurt. So I think they're just trying to sort of get everybody to kind of get excited about something, which can't be Telos because that's a fork. So it's like, well, they'd be like, well, like, yeah, we suck, but go play with those guys. They're better.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that Telos, the Dan Larimer would lend his screen time and his face time to Telos, because Telos is really doing what
I don't think they need
EOS
it.
was. Yeah,
I
they don't
think he's
what
looking at
they don't
Telos
need
doesn't.
him.
They don't need Larimer. I mean, they're doing great.
Like, I
They're
guess.
just they're doing what EOS was supposed to do, which is be an enterprise software business.
Yeah, but I figure he could at least give a plug, and
I think
he's
he's
nowhere
got
near
his
that thing.
competitors that are going to go. So he's got his whole like democracy project with the voting system. I mean, he has a whole governance. That ultimately Telos is building private blockchains, whereas he wants to build this kind of magic blockchain governance system that works, right? That somehow meets the needs of the
The
future.
That's the problem. You see, I don't know whose needs his meeting, and we've learned from everything that's going on in the world right now. When technocrats talk about technocratic things and trying to make it democratic, we know it ends up being more autocratic than democratic. So,
and Larimer's very much living in that classical liberal paradigm where you have to kind of somehow be constantly in the process of getting the consent of the governed. And so that's just a time-consuming, expensive process. Obviously useful because you don't have the consent of the governed, people lose their shit and cause problems for you. So you want to get that, but he's very much focused on the idea of the individual as token holder, right? And there's no idea of group or group identity in his governance model. It's all individual identity. It's just neoliberalism, right? It's a modern form of it's trying to take liberalism and port it onto a blockchain world, which is fine. But I just think there's so many challenges within the liberal paradigm already. Sticking it onto a blockchain doesn't fix any of those problems, right? You still
no, it
have
doesn't. Yeah,
anonymization of the individual. You still have the inability of groups to sort of protect themselves from predation or from destruction by other groups. I mean, so you just have this ideological supremacy that kicks in where there's a way to do it, and that way becomes the sort of governing modality. So then you're just in this world of blockchain, which makes everything faster and more effective. So you end up with this ideological supremacy that just kind of can be imposed on people very rapidly, which sucks. But that's the challenge of liberalism, right? So it's like blockchain just makes it worse, makes it more liberal.
I agree. You can't improve human virtue and human nature with a line of code, but you can certainly make it worse. Yeah, it's always easier to make things worse with a line of code than it is to. I mean, if you want to improve human nature, depending on who you ask, you want to read the real line of code. Depending on who you ask, go either read the Bible or go read some nice piece of literature, something enlightening. That's the real code, because code cannot be. You can't change human nature on the smart contract.
No, all you can do is impose the governing standard on people more effectively.
Yeah. So
use their wealth like that. I don't have to go through. It makes everything very easy and very efficient. And typically, ease and efficiency leads to more of it happening. Which, if it's good for people, that's great. And if it's not so good for people, then
I mean, ease and efficiency is also relative. If it's ease and efficiency for the state, that has catastrophic consequences. but it's
Right.
balance against the ease and efficiency for the individual. Those are questions that can never be fully answered. I mean, if it was answered,
Yeah,
well, there you
the
go.
Nazis were super efficient, and they managed to kill lots of people in concentration camps, right? If the Nazis were, morons, like there's a lot of places that tried to do that, and they just weren't very good at it, so they couldn't kill very many people because they sucked at it.
One of the fears about AI and transhumanism and singularity that futurists have warned about is this question of efficiency, that the AI would deem in the future certain populations that are not efficient. They're not, we're just like a burden. And then the program would say, you'll be more efficient if we got rid of certain type of people.
Yeah, you would have to get rid of them. You just sort of build a little, like video game get high universe, like here, go and smoke pot and play World of Warcraft for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but if it requires X amount of resource so that they could sit there and play games.
Yeah, but you probably would just, there'd probably be some ethical trade-offs that would mean that you would sort of just prevent them from breeding, right? So you just within 100 years, you would have just eliminated all of those people.
That's what I mean. Well, that's what the Matrix. If you watch the movie Matrix, this whole series was about. The humans were, in the end, reduced to just being batteries for the machines, to power the machines.
One of the things I enjoy when people are tell me that they like the vaccine mandates, I agree with them, and I say it's wonderful. It's created the legal framework to have things like forced abortions for populations that we deem undesirable, and then you see them look up like, oh, I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, if the government can mandate healthcare procedures for people based on certain factors, it's great. We can now genetically engineer a perfect human race using the power of the state. And they're like, wait, that's bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you think? Dumbass.
Slippery slope. Right. That's a good one. That's a good argument.
It totally makes people like horrified by themselves because they're suddenly like, I don't like vaccine mandates anymore. They completely flip around. It's great.
I'm going to try that. So that was that maybe that should be a flyer too.
It's it definitely converts people into bodily freedom people.
Well, that's what I have for Mix and Fruit Farms. I don't know if that was an extensive report, but
I think that's wonderful. Yeah. I'll wind this up.